Hello people, Peter here, Dan and his man shed, and today I'm hoping to make a video showing you how to upgrade your Bachmann Class 66s with a kit that you have to get from a company called Illuminated Models. And with this kit we put right what Bachmann didn't do when they produced 3 versions of their 66. They just produced the one lighting board that went and fitted all 3 versions of the 66 styles that they make. So we're hoping to rectify that now and make them look prototypical. Right, so the one we're looking at now, so I've got trains running, and that's the Hatton 66 going around, sorry, with no sounds fitted because you want to hear me. So this particular one in front is obviously the Bachmann. And I'm just going to show you something because I bought the kits. The kits come with 2 light boards so that you can do 1 loco, or you've been cheeky like me, you've only modified the one end on 2 locos. But I'm going to show you this one because at this end it was how it comes from Bachmann, alright, and then this is the end, obviously the leading end is where I've changed it. So let's have a look at that. Right, okay, so this is how she gets from Bachmann. I haven't done anything to this end, it's come like this from the factory. So I'm going to turn it on, and the first thing we should see are the correct red lights, because obviously as a tail of the engine, the light units were correct because they gave you 2 red LEDs. So there we are, and even now you can see straight away that one side is a bit brighter than the other side. I haven't altered that, that's how it's come from Bachmann. Now let's have a look, change direction, we get the white lights, which we know is only the 2. And there we are, and the, I don't know if you can tell, but the large lamp on the left is not exactly filling the plastic lens that they give you. And obviously where this is now wrong is where the 2 red LEDs were, they should now be 2 small white lights. That's your daytime running lights on this particular style of Class 66. Alright, so this is where you get it from Bachmann, but this is where it's not correct. Again, change direction, so that's fine, you got your red lights, that's fine. That's why I haven't bothered to change them, because as far as I'm concerned that is correct. If it's going from the leading edge, that's fine. That's wrong. Right, now we have a look at the other end. Right, the other end now, so this end has had the kit attached, so once again we can have the running lights, the red lights, the tail lights. They're not nighttime, sorry, I keep saying nighttime, they're just red rear lights, yeah? But now when we change it for the to run forward, you see you get now also what's different is the white light on the left, the big one, is a lot better illuminated than how it was at the other end. And of course now you've got your daytime running lights illuminated as well, but the beauty is you've still got your red lights. Okay, so that's exactly how it is in the real world. That's, you know, what you would have liked to have got from Bachmann, but they can't do it because the PCB board they used for 3 styles of 66s can't give you that. They can give you the red lights and 1 running light. Incidentally, on the this one as well, there's a little switch under the fuel tank, or next to the fuel tank. All that does is turns off the rear lights. It doesn't change the lights from daytime running to nighttime running. The headlight on the right hand side, there is no LED on the Bachmann circuit board, so you can never have that illuminated using a Bachmann board. Alright, so that's how she came from Bachmann. Incidentally, I think the Class 60 that's running around, that's got a switch as well, and that one does switch to daytime, nighttime running lights, but leaves the red lights on at the back. So oh dear, so it's a different story with that one then. So you got the with the Hornby. Certainly with the Class 60 you can have it daytime running, nighttime running, but whatever, you still got your rear lights are on. Hey ho. Right, let's have a look at the Class 66s and what you can and can't do with the 3 versions. Okay, so this one's correct. I've done this one, and this is running correctly with the large light and the two inner daytime running lights correct, which also change direction, become red. That's it. So nothing else to do with that one then. That's correct. This is the style that you get from Bachmann, from new. The two little white rectangular patches on the end are supposed to represent the real-time world of daytime running lights, and then of course only the one light comes on alongside them. So you get the top one, that one, and what elects to be outboard running lights, and then of course the two inner ones which aren't illuminated, they will go red, which will be correct. So going reverse, well actually this loco, because of the fact that it elected to paint it, it's never correct, because even when it's going in reverse and you've got two red lights on, well, you've got two little white patches as well. Alright, so that's a bit of a bodge, isn't it? But that's what you got from Bachmann. I think I've got the same one next to it. Yeah, same. There's the other style that you can do. So this one has got the three lights on. Inboard running lights with the kit. That changes to make them inboard white and also rear red, and you have the outboard white light on as well. So I've got that one done as correctly as well. So that's the other style. So you've got that one. So there you got your three styles. Large fish eye or bug eye. This one with the outboard with the outside lights. That's the same. That's the same. That's the next ones. Right. So that's what the kit can't do. This one, there is a separate kit that's coming out. It will involve drilling out where that white marker light is in order to put an extra LED that they supply. I've got it on the way. I want to see what it looks like before I attempt to do it. But so all we're showing you now is the styles of the 66s. Okay, so this 66 started off looking like that one. This one, but as you can see, it's only got 4 lights. That's because that's how they're running some of them, not all of them. But if they get a light upgrade, that's how they now look. The white patches have gone. The two lights are in exactly the same location, so you don't have to do. So what I've done is I covered over the white rectangle patch with a little bit of Tamiya masking tape, a tiny little rectangle. That, because it's Tamiya tape, it sticks in place. I painted that black, so I didn't actually undo the white tampo printing. But I think you can see, well, I think you can't see that it's got a bit of tape. If you do that, this now has to have all 4 lights on, because that's what it's like in the real world. If it's gone from the old style with the white, yeah, if it's gone from those two styles to that style, you don't have 3 lights, you have all 4. And that's what I've done on this one. So that allows me to change what would be the old Bachmann style. Everything else is exactly the same. The little hook there for the knuckle coupling and all the rest of it is exactly the same, but it runs with 4 lights on. That one on the end, I've elected to have all 4 lights running on that one, because again, that's how they could be. So that one could be just the 2, you know, inboard ones and the one outside one, or you can have all 4, and that's what I've elected to do on that one. And then good old Evening Star, well, because there's plenty of videos of showing Evening Star only has the 3, so she's got the outboard one and the 2 innerboard ones. Alright, so that's the styles of 66s, and with this kit we can convert some of them, not all of them. Okay, let's have a look. Right, okay guys, I hope you can see this. Taking this out of the loco that we're going to be working on, okay? This is what you get into, which is holding your light PCB board. This is a plastic shroud that the PCB board, by means of 2 little tags, little points there, that holds it in place, yeah, at the right distance behind the opening of the hole there at the front. Okay, it's quite thick, so the board goes flush against it, and then obviously that little lot fits back into the loco. Now if you're doing the kit that does the large headlight, that's exactly what you would do to replace it. Alright, you would use where you've taken this one out after you've unsoldered it. So this is the Bachmann version. You can see the solder pads on this side. Because it's the Bachmann's version, there's a white LED. Let me get a pointer. There's a white LED there, a red LED, a red LED, nothing. Okay, so you could never modify the Bachmann PCB board. Okay, but she fits inside of the back of this black shroud. And why they call a shroud, you can see there's segments there separating the LEDs. That's so that when that's in there flush, there's no light bleed between the red going into the white lens and the white going into the red lens. Okay, so that's what there's this shroud, a plastic shroud. So as I say, if you're doing the bug-eyed, put it back in exactly the same way. So that was the Bachmann product. This is the new one. So you can see the solder tabs are different, they're bigger, all marked up with letters again, 2 little holes again, because that marries up with the 2 little holes that's in the black plastic shroud. And there you are, fits lovely. You see, an exact replacement, fantastic. And that is good enough that you would get your white light and your red lights and whatever. Alright, and because of the partitioning, you won't get any bleed between it. The only thing I would say, if you're using that, you will need that solder tab there, and this fits nicely into the chassis of the loco, so don't go ballistic with the solder when you're soldering to those one, either that side or that side. Don't go mad, don't have a big blob of solder, because this has got to fit down into the chassis of the loco, and there's actually the back of the chassis butts up to behind that to keep this thing in place. Not only is it screwed down, but it's also a nice fit inside. So if you've got a bit of not too bad, not too sad on these ones, but on these particular ones, if you've got a large lump of solder sticking out, you might have issues trying to put it back inside your loco, alright, into the chassis. So bear that in mind. If you're not that, either file the solder down a little bit, or just don't be too generous with the solder. Just do the job of tacking the wire to it and leave it at that. Right, that's for the bug-eyed, but we're not doing the bug-eyed. We're doing a conventional light, the one that's been modified, where the white tampo printing has been taken off. I've covered it over with a bit of tape and painted it black. And because of that, I want all 4 lights on. All 4 lights need to be on. So that's the board we're going to use. This one, it's got a white light. It's got a white light with a red underneath, white on top, and a white light. Alright, so that's a fantastic little board. Now, get your legend. Take a note of this. This is what you get. You should get this. There is your PCB board that's on your loco, yeah? Make a note of the colours that's coming from those 5 tabs. As it says there though, this one, whatever colour that one is, you're not using anyway. But as it's saying on there, the very top tag, whatever that made me jump. Whatever cable, or wire is soldered to that is your negative white. Next one's not used. This one is your positive white, so make a note of what colour that one is and mark it down as being the positive wire. Negative red, make a note of the colour. Positive red, make a note of the colour. That then transpires over to this page, to this sheet. So if you're doing your rear red lights first, we need F. So we find our solder pad F on the little PCB board. Yeah. So from the PCB board on the loco to the MAC solder tag on the back of the little lighting PCB board, we need the F. It's a positive. And in this case of this loco that we're doing now, although this is for a corresponding, you see the wires change. You see I've got 2 lots of wires, coloured wires there, because I've done more than one loco. And there's an aeroplane flying over. And there is different wires in the 2 locos. This is why it's important to make a note of what the wires are, okay? So in my case, for the red light, the positive that goes to the F solder tab needs to be the orange wire. The negative, as it happens, to go to the B solder tab is the red wire, right? And when you do that, that will give you your red tail lights, right? Now at first, when I went to do this one, I was going to just have the 3 lights on, the daytime running and also one main headlight. So I made a note, so for positive it's the C tab, which has to be green. For the negative it has to be the E tab, which has to be brown. But if you notice there's G and E, well that's because you've got to join those two together. So let's have a look. So on there we're looking at E and G. There's E, there's G. So if I take the brown wire to G and solder it to G, all I would get would be the 2 inboard running lights. This wouldn't be on, obviously. So I've got to bridge a little wire that's got to come from the G as well to go to the E. And then, because it would be a little bit crowded on the G, take another little wire to come from the E to the A, because what I did in the end is I elected to have all the lights on, which is why it's got A, G and E. They've all got to be joined together. Alright, so one feed comes in, which is the what is it there, the brown. So the brown went to one of those tags, and then a wire that went to the other 2 tags. And that's how you wire up the board. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's get on with it. Okay, right, here we are. Just getting it all prepared, ready for resoldering. So I've got all the wires that I need taken off the back of the other PCB board. The blue is not needed, but I haven't cut it off. Alright, they're sort of saying that you could use that wire because it's not needed, cut it back to there, and then you can use this wire as the bridging wire. Well, just so I've got some more wires anyway, so I've got one there, little bits there, all ready to go, all tinned, you know, soldered at each end and all the rest of it. You know how to tin, get them all ready, and a smaller one there. Alright, so here I want to show you in the chassis there, that as I said to you, that that when that goes back, if you've got solder in the way, you see it's quite a good fit. So if you've got solder in the way, it would stop it from sitting down there. Alright, one way to do it is possibly cut that back. It's plastic, but just, or otherwise, as I say, just don't be so generous with the solder, and she should find, I've had no trouble, it's gone back quite easy. You might not even need to screw it back in. Once it's in place, it holds in place. Okay, it doesn't go anywhere. Plus on top of that, you've also got your drive, you know, your cab that's got to sit on the 2 pegs. If you don't know how that comes off, there's 2 pegs. Yeah, you need to try to ease it off, or maybe a screwdriver underneath to prise them off. Hopefully you don't break those things, because they've obviously got to go back on. Just like that. And then it's come off so many times now, I just have to prise it off, he says. There we are. So that works. Right, so I'm going to solder now these wires, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on camera. Let's have a look. Right, well the first thing I've got to do is I've got to get some solder onto these tabs. So heat, that's it, 5 seconds, that's all. And I'm just going to turn that round because I'm right-handed. I think you can still see it on camera. Just got to put a bit of solder on these tabs. Come on. There we are. And they're still separated, so there's a nice little lump of solder on each of those now, but they're not joined together, and I can still see the what the letters are. So now I'm going to solder the wires to them. So I'm going to do the red wires. No, hold on. No, let's just do the white. Let's have a look. Bit of blue tack, because that's my third hand. All right, just keeps it all. Maybe actually bring it up onto there. There we are, because then I've got the wires. The wires are going to come in from the top and be soldered on that way. he says just bring it back into display. Okay. It's very hard to do all this and keep it all on camera. Right, so I'll put my blue tack on the end of the loco. PCB board is hopefully gripped a little bit by that, and with the wires and things like that I should be able to you know, put the appropriate wires. So let's see how we go. Right, so the first thing I'm going to try to do is solder the brand to G. So done. Next one, we'll have the green going to C. So let's get the green wire. Get hold of that, he says, Peter, come on. Get it so that it's all nice and it's a bit long, that one, so still never mind. Should be okay. Get it on against the solder pad, solder it. Alright, so that's that one and that one. Now, from the G, before I go any further, I want to spur to A. So I've got a little tiny piece of wire here, and hopefully without unsoldering the first wire, because I haven't put them together, I'm hoping I can get away with just by having that on top of G and pressing down. No, didn't get away with that one. That one's gone over there. Let's try doing that. They're attached. That's fine. Now that one I need to move over to A. So sorry, I'm not the best of let's get that round so it will come down. Doing this all live. What an idiot. That's on. So yeah, G, right, okay, so F, because that's the next one next to there, they're not touching, so we're alright. So what do we want to go to F? So we look at our legend, look at the paper. F is the plus, which is the orange wire. Not easy to distinguish these two wires, guys. One's orange, obviously one's red, but very similar. So orange wire goes to F, which means the red will go to the B. Is there enough room? Should be. Oh. Come on, you, behave yourself. I won't stop the camera, you might as well see me struggling. Now I've got to go from there to there. So let's put the doesn't matter that this is long, not really worried about that. All done. Now to see if it works. Right, we're back. So taking it off the blue tack, the lighting board, yeah, so she's all wired up. I've put 2 crocodile clips onto the wheels, and I've got my old Elite controller just off camera there, or maybe I'll bring it into camera. Alright, so she's all ready to have power go through to it to see if the lights will turn on and see what we get. So looking at the LEDs, so we'll put the lights on. We've got 4 white lights, change direction, 2 red lights. So all that sloppy soldering has worked. Okay, that's it guys, that's it done. Now to put it into this particular model. So I don't need electric anymore, so I'll turn that off. Just unplug it. That's it. So she's dead. Thank you very much, Mr. Elite. Now, the next thing I want to show you is where this board and how we put this board back in, because we're not using that black plastic shroud, and what we've got to do. Alright guys, so nice zoom in on the end of the board. Because we're not using the black plastic shroud, which separated the LEDs, we've got to come up with another way of shielding, stopping the light from bleeding across these LEDs on that side and on that side. What we're going to use is a little bit, well, I'm going to use is a little bit of black tack. Make a little sausage and stick the black tack down the middle. Alright, obviously still leaving the LEDs themselves exposed. And just by doing that, and then when we put it back into the loco, which I'll show you in a second, it should stop it coming through these, you know, these lights, okay, because there's the loco lights there. We've got a shield, we've got to stop the red coming from there and bleeding into the white. If you've got all 4 white lights, I suppose it doesn't really matter, but it's down to the red light is the important one. When you have the reds on, you will get bleed into where the white light is. Alright, so we have to separate them somehow. Alright, so that's, I'm just going to put my little bits of sausage and then we come back. Right, okay, not the neatest job in the world, but there is a little sausage of black tack there, still allowing the LED to be exposed, and some with that side, but it's thick enough, yeah, that when it's put back in here against these lights, you can see I've knocked a black tack, the piece of tape. See what I mean? While I put tape on it, look at that. See, still got the white underneath. See, good thinking. So yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to put this board in tight against the thing, so they're right behind these lights, these plastic lights. You can see what's happening when I'm moving around. Okay, so that's our next step. To hold it in place, I will put a bit of black tack there. He says, trying to do it off, I don't know, will it look? Because we'll see. That will hold it in place, and then once it's in place and squashed up, if that works, because it might need to go in at an angle. Sometimes they go in completely flat, right up against the thing. Sometimes it likes to have a little bit of an angle like that. You'll only know, I'll have to turn the lights on for that, but first of all I'm going to get that in. So let's have a look. So without trying to knock anything, put that down in there. Get her in place, come on. There she is. So she's there now, just held in place at the moment by the wires. So I'm going to put power to it again. Right, come off the edge of the table now because I've got the contacts going to the wheels. So there we are, we've got the red lights coming through. And we've got the 4. Alright, nice and bright. But you can see how far back the board is. It needs to be squeezed in a little bit more, because when I put the red back on, there's a bit of I can see there's a bit of bleed coming through there, a bit of bleed coming through there, and not the strongest of red lights. So let's see, just by touching it with my fingers, not doing anything crazy, by pushing it in, straight away that one's gone black, that one's gone black. Let's try the white lights. Wow, there you go. Alright, so there we are. So that's held in place now. Don't worry about the fact that you can see a bit of light coming from the top, because when it all goes back together again, when this goes back on top, when the body shell goes on top, you don't see any of that. So providing there's no bleed between the lights when they're on and the red lights, and they're not, that's superb. That's red, and that's all 4 white lights. Brilliant. Okay, so it's a question now, just tidying up, and also let's put it back on the bench, and I'll tell you something else when you're putting it all back together again. Okay, we're back. So it's held in place because I put a bit of black tack at the very front, and it's obviously the little sausages are squeezing down a little bit, but not enough to obscure the lenses. For a little bit of more security, I'm going to put a little bit of black tack behind the board so the board doesn't move back, he says, and then I will check. I love black tack, to be honest. Just make sure that once I've got that one back in place, this is because, as I say, we're not using the shroud. Alright, we're putting it in place, see, so that feels nicely, that gap, the black tack will stop that moving. Okay, now the wires, they rest against the chassis there. Make sure they're nice and loose, because what you don't want to do, you don't want to, as you're pushing this back on, the wires will go up the back there in that channel there. That's why they're all over there. You don't want the wires pulling, you want the wires coming, you know, getting pulled that way. You don't want the wires being pulled that way, otherwise it will pull against the black tack. Okay, so just make sure that all the wires, where's that brown one going? Oh, it's there. Yeah, I was going to say. Alright, that's okay. Doesn't do any harm if it's going to go there. It's just the old engine and the motor's there though. That's the only problem. The edge of the motor. So I want that brown wire out. He says. Come on. Let's have you out in the open up there. There we are. Don't know why it's longer than the rest of them, but still. So they all go around the side there. Yeah. That's all flat. Little driver figure onto the holes, press down. There we are. So that's that. Now, one last thing I'm going to do is just check that all the lights are still looking good. Right, okay, so the last thing, just to check, after putting the driver and the cabin back on top, making sure that it didn't pull any of the wires as it come round from the back and pull the PCB board away from where it should be. So we'll just see if the lights are still good. Yep, and the reverse. Alright, we're done guys, because all I've got to do now is put the body back on and we are done. Well, there she is, all back together again. So I suppose the proof is in the pudding. Let's turn the lights on. And in reverse, turn them forward. There we go. All four lights on, pull her away. Turn the sound on maybe. Okay people, so thank you for sticking with me this long. It's not a short video, but someone said how on earth do you do it? Alright, so that's how you do it. I'll let it come round once more so you can see it. So this is the style that had the white outer lights, in the daytime running lights. It's now been changed to having all four lights running, okay? So you don't have just the one working. If that's the style that you've opted for, you will need all four lights working, because that's the style that's in the real life. There's quite a few red Schenkers looking like that now. The EWS, because they're Schenker as well, they're looking like that. Freightliners, it's quite a few of them now come around and they've got their four lights on. So this one does not just the four lights obviously, but whatever combination you wish to solder, bearing in mind that when you solder there's nothing else you can do about it. You would have to take it all apart to unsolder it to change the configuration. Alright, that's the only thing it doesn't do, but you know what, this is now correct going forwards as well as going backwards, because it's got the rear lights as well. So I don't think you can improve on that. I'll come round and she'll stop and I'll call it a day. So thank you very, very much for watching everybody whilst I try to do this. So you're going to stop in front of the camera? No. Yeah, you little rascal. Oh, you know what then, let's change direction and take it back, and we should have red lights on. There they are. Yeah. Oh dear, the joy of DCC, eh? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Catch you laters. Bye.